Hello all. It's a beautiful Monday midday in Cairns. So I've been back for in excess of 48 hours and getting back to normality a bit. And as is normal on a Monday, of course, we have another day of disaster for Malcolm Turnbull, our totally inept, backstabbing Prime Minister. Has actually getting trounced in the by-elections that were held on what they called Super Saturday. He deluded himself into thinking he could actually win an historic by-election. They got absolutely trounced. He's totally on the nose. And it just keeps getting worse for this man. I mean, I don't know if he is a man. I think he might be just some sort of an evil apparition, because it's just everything he seems to do is anti-Australian. And his latest idea is to sign a compact, for immigration compact, international immigration compact with the UN. Now, his immigration minister, Peter Dutton, who I thought was one of the hopes of the Liberal Party, he denied that we will be signing this particular document, yet we're co-author to this document, which will basically open the borders of Australia, totally open the borders. It's the same deal with Theresa May and the EC. She's basically backtracking on Brexit, and it looks as though Malcolm Turnbull is doing a snide backdoor deal through the UN of all places. I mean, the UN is a corrupt, inept, bureaucratic heap of crap, and we don't want to have anything to do with it if we've got any brains. Of course, Turnbull doesn't have any brains, or he doesn't have any loyalty to Australia. I think, I regard people like Theresa May, Angela Merkel and Malcolm Turnbull as traitors to their countries. They don't seem to have the interests of the people at heart. They certainly don't listen to the people. And I've just had a gutful of this guy. And I'm wondering who in the hell in the Liberal Party seriously believe that Malcolm Turnbull is going to take them over the line when they have to compete with Bill Shorten. Yeah, I'm not a great rap for Bill Shorten. I think, he's a puppet of the unions. He's not to be trusted. He's changed his opinion on a few issues. I can't think of the specifics, but I know that he has done that. And so therefore I do actually question the man's character. But one thing I don't question is his energy and an ability to campaign strongly when an election comes forward. And I've got to tell any Liberal backbencher or minister or cabinet minister, whatever, if they really think they're going to win the election with Malcolm Turnbull against Shorten, they're kidding themselves. These by-elections where they got wiped is just a foreboding of the future. The Liberal Party could basically get wiped out. It's going to be carnage. The actual calculations on what occurred last Saturday is that 8 seats would fall federally in Queensland alone on the by-election results. Now, by-elections generally don't go well for governments, so that might be overstating it a bit, but I've got to tell you, Malcolm Turnbull is on the nose big time, and deservedly so. I mean, I can't believe about that UN compact. That is the sleaziest, most deceptive thing I've ever heard. In one hand, he has his immigration minister, Dutton, telling us that, oh no, we won't be signing this, even though we actually helped draft it. And then on the other hand, he's now talking about possibly signing it. So, I mean, where's this guy coming from? What principles does he have, and who does he really represent? He doesn't represent Australia's interests. I mean, look at what's happened to this country. Look at things like the NBN, which was under his tutelage when he was the communications minister. That's turned to total crap. There's no value left in that. And that's just one example, but more importantly, the energy policy is an absolute disaster. the National Energy Guarantee. What guarantee? There's no guarantee. There's no guarantee unless you start building coal power stations, which they're doing in China. And by the way, in China, they've just decided to scrap subsidies for solar because they know it's a dog. So people are waking up in the rest of the world, but we are dumbasses. We're basically hobbling our industry, hobbling our commerce. Our education system's going down the tube. It's so politically correct now that the degrees coming from Australia won't be worth a cracker. I mean, it's really sad. It's really sad what's happening in this country. But get this, just to show you an illustration of how much of a bubble that Turnbull and his ilk live in Canberra. Do you know how many people he has on his staff? 59. And do you want to know what the average income of those people is, the average salary? $230,000 each. I mean, that's not the real world, is it? I mean, Canberra, it's a joke. It's so divorced from the real world. It makes me sick. That's what I say, we wish we didn't have Canberra. I wish that the bureaucrats had to actually live in the real world, in real cities. And I would like that the federal parliament goes right around the country and meets, rather than in Parliament House. And they don't need an opulent place to live or to meet. I mean, they only need a hall, and every one of the capitals can provide that, and it gets them a chance to actually rub shoulders with real people. What's wrong with that, I ask? Like I said, my plea to you really is, for God's sake, don't just vote for the old three, Liberal, Labor, Greens. How about giving someone else a chance? Because this country has been abysmally run. And I just want good management. I don't care so much about the political doctrines as such. I mean, I'm a libertarian, so I'd obviously want more freedom and less bureaucracy and less red tape, and green tape for that matter. But overall, I just want decent managers, people who are intelligent and not trying to play politics all the time at the expense of things that need to be done in this country. And that's the trouble with the Turnbull government. He's more focused on the politics, and he's hopeless at it anyway, than actually getting on with it and just doing the job. I mean, like I said, why aren't we building dams up north? Why aren't we harvesting water? Why aren't we doing these things? Why aren't we at least keeping nuclear power as an option? That's all I'm saying. It's just ridiculous. We should be one of the wealthiest countries in the world, but I tend to think that we are slipping now. Whereas America is going into a growth phase, and they're going up to about 4% growth, annual growth currently. And that's amazing, because Trump is actually doing things and keeping his promises, which is the antithesis of Turnbull. I just wish the Liberals would grow a pair and actually finally make the decision to get rid of him. Because if they don't, they're gone. They are gone. We're in real trouble right now, and we need decisive leadership, and there are no decent leaders on the horizon. Change needs to be pushed forward, really does, for this country to grow, because I have no faith whatsoever in Turnbull and quite a few of his ministers. Well, the other thing that needs to be noted is that we have this wonderful leader in Malcolm Turnbull because of one man, and that man is John Howard, ex-Prime Minister, the Prime Minister that lost his own seat in the election where he got booted. You've got to question this man's judgment. He pleaded with Turnbull not to resign from Parliament, and as a result, the snake was still in the Liberal Party and eventually bit Tony Abbott on the arse. And it's all thanks to you, John. Good old honest John Howard. So we've got a lot to owe you. Your legacy lives on and has been living on for several years. So thanks again, John. Really appreciate the intervention. Please consider subscribing to my channel if you think there's anything there of use to you, or entertainment or whatever. And either do that or give me a thumbs up, or if you're feeling really energetic, do both. That'd be great. But please don't ignore me. That's the worst thing you can do on YouTube, is be ignored.